Hey everybody, we've got a pretty cool test today. We only had this bike for a day, so we tried to get as much out of it as we could. This is the 2020 Ducati Streetfighter V4 S, and we thought, well, this thing is, this is the new bike everyone's talking about. But then we thought, hey, we'll throw it against the supercharger. So this is the 2020 Kawasaki Z or Z, depending on where you live in the world, H2. Now the naked version of the supercharged H2, H2SX, H2R, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, we're going to throw it against this thing. We've just spent the last, 8 hours or so riding around Southern California. Oh, by the way, this is my boss. This is the guy who lets me do these videos. This is Sean Finley. Yeah, so lot to talk about. I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you think? Like, what's the standout thing for you on the Ducati first?
To me, the Ducati I was excited to ride it because it's a new bike. It's cool, looks amazing. It sounds really cool when you get on the gas, and it's fast, but it still corners really well. Brakes are amazing. It still feels really controllable.
Yeah. I like riding these two things back to back. It's funny when you get the only thing they've got in common basically is the fact they've got two wheels and an engine. Like the other thing that's interesting is like that's got 208 horsepower claimed. This is all claimed, by the way. 208 horsepower. That has 197 claimed horsepower. Yet that supercharged motor makes that thing feel slow. Isn't that weird?
Unbelievable, actually. And I started off on the Kawasaki this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's insane. And then when we got up here to the mountains, up to the really good roads, and got to really kind of twist the throttle a little bit, then you're like, wow. And then, like you said, it makes the Ducati, which is an amazingly fast motorcycle, not even feel that fast.
It's so weird. I mean, I don't think at all that I'm going any slower on that. In fact, I'm probably going quicker. But the way that thing picks up speed is deceptive. Like the way that supercharger just amplifies everything in terms of what horsepower you've got. Because the other thing too is that thing weighs, again claimed, that's 527, I think, from memory. 527 pounds claimed curb weight, 439 claimed curb weight. So you're dealing with 90 odd pounds difference with 10 horsepower less, yet it feels faster than that.
Yeah.
How weird's that?
Yeah, but you do feel that weight when you get up to these twisties, and that's where the Ducati really shined to me, is that when you get into those switchback corners, and the fact that it feels a little bit narrower around your knees and all that too, just the bike trips in a little easier, and you can feel that way. But then when you get to the little straights and twist the throttle, then that's where the Kawasaki really comes alive.
And you got that awesome, scary soundtrack of the supercharged.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're getting chased by rattlesnakes. Man, it's cool. Yeah, I think with the Ducati, it comes with, okay, so for 24 grand, this is what you get. You get Marchesini wheels, Marchesini forged aluminum wheels. You get the Öhlins Smart EC2 NIX 30 fork and TTX 36 shock, 43mm fork on this. So you get, so this is dynamically adjustable suspension versus the Kawasaki has Showa big piston forks, conventional and Showa shock. Conventionally, I guess operated if you like, set your clickers and off you go. That thing isn't anywhere near as composed, I think, as the Ducati. The Ducati seems to be much more fun in the corners, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where I could feel the biggest difference. And part of it's the sitting position on the bikes.
Yeah.
The Kawasaki feels a little bit bigger around the tank and everything, and the tank's a little bit higher even. There's the air intake for the supercharger on the one side, and the bike's balanced out where the other side, so your legs are kind of moved apart a little bit. And you can feel that a little bit, and I think it makes it feel bigger than it really is. But yeah, big difference. Yeah,
that is one thing about that Kawasaki, is that with all that intake and all that, I mean, you look at the size of the headlights, for example, I mean, that versus that, there's a lot of weight up high on the Kawasaki. There's a lot of mass for what's essentially a naked bike, and you do feel that that initial tipping in the corner. It's kind of like, oh, here it goes, and then it goes in, and it's probably not helped, I think, by the fact that the suspension is quite soft in comparison to that.
Yeah, I agree. It moves a little bit more. Even I mean, at slow speed, high speed, whatever, you can feel the bike moving a little bit more through the travel.
Yeah, and it's strange. The Kawai's quite a cramped, I guess, compared to the Ducati. Almost like the handlebars are almost a little bit cramped as well. They're quite small.
Yeah, and I think to me it's almost feels more so because your knees are apart and then your hands are in. You know.
Yeah, you kind of like you lean forward like that almost, versus the Ducati where your stance is opened up, I guess. Yeah, like the Alessandro Vaglia who developed this bike. He's a lead Ducati development rider. He's about your and my height. I mean, you're a little bit shorter than I am. I think Alessandro's about 6 foot or so, maybe a bit less. So I think they've designed the Ducati around maybe a taller rider, because that gap too between the seat and the pegs is really quite comfortable.
Yeah, both bikes actually surprising me though, comfortable for this kind of riding, for these mountain roads and all this. Even before we met this morning, just the ride from my house to our meeting point was over an hour, and felt totally fine on the Kawasaki as well.
Yeah, I mean that thing's a brilliant highway bike. It's very comfortable, especially if you're say 5'10". That would be almost the ideal riding position, I would think.
Yeah, that's my height, and it does feel very comfortable.
Yeah, there you go. So you get let's have a think about what you don't get on the Ducati. You do not get cruise control. $24,000. Don't get cruise control. What the hell? That you get set, and that's $17,000. So $29,995. Oh, sorry, $23,995. 17 grand, and you get cruise control. That's a big thing for a road bike. For me, I can't believe that this thing doesn't come with cruise control. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I say it's not something that's like a must to me on a bike, but for a long commuting, it's something you definitely would want.
For sure, yeah. The braking package on this is much better, I think. The Brembo setup that they've got. This thing, you have a Nissan, the Kawasaki, you have a Nissan master cylinder. Brembo, I think they're the M4.32. Well, they're not the Stylema calipers. I think they're the one down from the Stylema calipers. I feel like you get much more of a better feel, I think, at the lever with the Ducati.
You're at a whole different level of riding than me. I can't say that I could really feel a huge difference in the brakes. For me, I'm getting into the corners and I'm easing in and rolling through, where I could tell you're coming in a lot harder. For me, I couldn't say that I could tell the difference so much. So for maybe at my riding level, it's not something I'd be like, oh man, I just have to have it, because I'm not pushing it at that level, I think.
Right, okay. I suppose looks-wise, we also got to look at that. The Ducati just nails it for me in terms of looks, but I look at that and I just can't dig the front of that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, and they're both odd to me. I mean, all naked bikes are a little odd to me, actually. They're still, even though I kind of prefer a naked bike look over a kind of a full faired look, but there's no consistent style for naked bikes. They all kind of have a different thing.
Especially now.
The KTM has their thing that's a little bit different, and both of these are pretty different. I'd say for me, this thing the Ducati almost looks like there's no lights there. I mean, there's little LED lights that are amazing, actually, for how well they perform. This feels a little bit bulky to me compared to the Ducati, though. I mean, it looks like there's just too much there. But I think in styling wise, because of the intake for the supercharged and all that, it kind of had to match it all together. Otherwise, it would have looked weird having this big air intake sticking out the front.
Yeah, I wonder if they could ever change that, because I'm just looking at it from this angle, and you look where the headlight finishes. It finishes almost in line with a mudguard, whereas, I mean, well, maybe not quite that far, but I mean, you look at the Ducati and it finishes at about halfway point, so you have all that extra weight way over the front of the bike as well. So, and you feel that top heaviness with the Kawasaki. But that ace in the car with that Kawi is just that motor. It's just nuts. Yeah,
exactly. It's so fun to just twist the throttle on the straights for sure. And then the quick shifters on both bikes is really cool. But this thing, man, you click second, third, you're like, whoa, another corner. It's like on you before you know it.
Yeah. All right. So the big question: 17 grand, 24 grand, 23,995. Which one are you going for? Money, no object. Which one are you going for?
Without the money, I felt like I enjoyed the Ducati as far as how I felt cornering and pushing a little bit, where the Kawasaki, the most fun part was just twisting the throttle and going through the gears. But then when I got to the corners, I felt a little bit scared that I wasn't going to be able to turn it in as well.
Okay.
So even though like they say the total horsepower is similar,
Yeah.
this thing just blows it away in terms of acceleration. So if that's what you want,
That's
Kawasaki's the way to go. And then if you throw the price into the mix, Kawasaki's a pretty darn good value,
It's
I
pretty
think,
hard
for,
to beat, yeah.
for something that's just like that wow factor for speed.
Yeah. I've personally got to go with the Ducati regardless of price, just because I think even though the motor is bonkers on that bike, it's also bonkers on this thing. Like that's the thing. Like this thing is not slow by any stretch of the imagination, yet the handling on this is much better to that. And I think after a while, maybe you wouldn't, maybe you wouldn't. You're eventually going to get sick of just doing big roll-ons. You want to get around the corners quickly.
Yeah.
And for this, the Ducati is just gonna smoke it. So I'm gonna put my hand up and say Ducati. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I think comfort level, I felt a little more comfortable on the Ducati.
Yeah.
You know, if I was like price not being in the mix, I'd probably pick the Ducati. Based on the price, I think I might sway for the Kawasaki.
There you go. We might have a dead heat on this one, ladies and gentlemen. But look, still two incredible bikes, two very different bikes too. You know, maybe the people who are looking at a Street Fighter aren't necessarily looking at an H2 ZH2. There's H2SX, H2R, H2. I mean, I'm losing count here. Anyway, guys, this is a bit of a joyride. We've literally had these bikes for a day, so we're not going to be able to do any sort of longer term feelings of what the bikes are like to live with. Hopefully we'll be able to do that sometime down the track, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And yeah, we'll be throwing some more stuff your way soon. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and please give us your comments down below. We'll do whatever we can, or our very best to get back to you as soon as we can. Until next time, cheers. Thanks a lot.